SNIVE BSR Biotech for providing me opportunity to share my knowledge in the regards to vitamin D, bone and non-bone diseases. And today I think is an auspicious day. I should make announcement over here that my beloved friend, Mr. Anu Burathoki, auspicious days in the sense that today is his birthday, so I would like to wish him from the stage here itself and make a round of applause for you. Thank you very much. Now with the formal sessions, let us move to the topic proper. That the outline of my presentation for today will be as follows. Okay, let us start with the introductions to the vitamin D. As we all know, vitamin D is also called as sunshine vitamin because the major source of the vitamin D comes from the sunlight. And it is a very precious occasion today because we are celebrating 100 years of anniversary where Professor E.V. McCollum first discovered this 100 years ago, and he has discovered it in the sense that it is bringing the growth and the development of the bone, and also he provides the supplement of the vitamin D to get rid of the rickets, which is one of the bone disorder. So the term vitamin D is itself a misnomer. We may be wrongly applying the word vitamins because it is not a vital amine. It is the structure containing steroid ring in its components, though we say it as vitamin D. And it is a prohormone that is getting synthesized from the 7-dehydrocholesterol that basically gets converted into the active cholecalciferol with the help of UVB light. We need the UV light for the synthesis of these hormones, so it is called as prohormone as well. And the main source, as I have already told you, is the UVB exposure. You can see the sunlight over there, the midday sunlight, or you can say after lunch, if you expose your body towards around 290 to 350 nanometers, you will get a good supplement of the vitamin D. Now, let us have a certain backgrounds on the synthesis, how basically the vitamin D gets synthesized in our body. As I have already told that it is in the skin where 7-dehydrocholesterol is getting converted into cholecalciferol with the use of UVB from sunlight. So this is the natural supplement. We don't have to source anywhere. We will get this from our nature. And moreover, the vitamin D3 that can be obtained from the other sources of the plant or fungi as ergocholecalciferols. Okay, so vitamin D2, we can say the other vitamins of the vitamin D is also there. Beside D3, we have D2 from plants and ergots or fungi, or we can directly take it from the meat sources, fish sources as well. But the thing is that whatever vitamin D3 that is coming from the UV exposure or from the diet, that has to be converted into the active cholecalciferol or vitamin D3, that is 25-hydroxycholecalciferol with the aid of the enzyme 25-hydroxylase. So here we have the 25-hydroxylase which act in the liver to get convert 25-hydroxycholecalciferol from cholecalciferol. Now this 25-hydroxycholecalciferols is transported via alpha-1 globulin or vitamin D binding protein to kidney, where it gets converted into the active form of the vitamin, that is 1,25-dihydroxycholecalciferol is called calcitriol. We can see the 2 OS group that has been attached due to the hydroxylations of 25-hydroxylase, and 1 alpha hydroxylase that is present in the kidney, and in the cholesterol steroid ring we initially already have the third position OH group. So we can say vitamin D as a calcitriol. But when the body is with less calcium level, then the synthesis process is activated innermostly, forming this active vitamin D. But when the calcium levels is high, then it has to be converted into the inactive precursor, inactive metabolites like 24,25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol or 124,25 trihydroxy cholecalciferol, and in many tissues including kidney, where it gets deteriorated later on and excreted through the urine in the form of calcitroic acids. So this is the overall metabolism of the vitamin D that is occurring in our system, in our body. Then going to the regulations proper, so how basically this vitamin D gets regulated in our system. So the major things that is done by the level of the calcium and PTH. When the calcium level falls, then there will be the stimulation of the parathyroid gland posterior to the thyroid. 4 is numbers. We can see here 4 small glands that is occurring, which will synthesize PTH. Now this PTH, in response to the decreased calcium, will have its stimulatory effect in the kidney, where it synthesizes vitamin D. Now the vitamin D itself will cause the demineralization or the resorption of the bone to increase the calcium, or in conjunction with the PTH, when the fall of the calcium is there, so that will also demineralize the bone, so that ultimately whatever less amount of the calcium is there is made up by the action of PTH and calcitriol on the bone. Moreover, the kidney producing the active calcitriol, vitamin D, will also have its receptors in the intestine, so that in the duodenum there will be the absorption of the both calcium and phosphorus. So see, we can here delicately see that the calcium and phosphorus is getting increased with the regulations of the vitamin D due to the decreased calcium and increased PTH hormones, with the increased vitamin D synthesis, with the increased reabsorption of the calcium due to the calcitriol from the kidney, and increased absorption of the calcium from the small intestine, and leading to ultimately the increased plasma calcium. So it basically homeostazes the level of calcium and phosphorus, which is very important constituents in our body. Then the question comes, why basically we need vitamin D? That is the major questions. Then we can ask, what are the functions of the vitamin D in our body? We have got the vitamin receptors, vitamin D receptors, each and every cells of our body. So throughout the body we have got the vitamin D receptors, so that it has got its effect in every systems, though we are pinpointing its mechanisms in the skeleton, kidney and the gut, but we should not forget about the receptors that are present in other part of body as well. So it will affect each and every systems of the body, just like a thyroid hormone we used to say when we teach to the medical students. So then the question comes, in the skeleton, what it basically does, it maintains the level of calcium and phosphorus. Okay, because this calcium and phosphorus is very vital for the mineralizations, for the muscle contractions, for so many of the works that is done by the calcium and phosphorus. Similar to that, gut means in the intestine or duodenum absorption, and kidney reabsorption of this calcium and phosphorus for maintaining the homeostasis is very crucial for the balance of these ions in the body by the actions of vitamin D. Then the question comes, what are the non-vitamin or non-skeletal? Because most of the time what physicians and what we laboratory persons are thinking of is always about the skeleton. Okay, BMD around, and then we will see the vitamin D, then we will have a diagnosis on the certain bony disorder. No, it is absolutely not. Now non-skeletal functions has been immensely seen that it can be in the anti-proliferative effect, means in the cancer cells. Now breast cancers, pancreatic cancers, and other various cancers, the vitamin D levels has been playing role in the topics proper, and it has also got an immunomodulatory effect by activations of the macrophages and the immune response to kill the engulfed the bacteria and some other antigenic particles that is invading our body. Similarly, it has got neuromuscular systems that is getting affected, like multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's disease, depressions are the associated thing with the vitamin D. Similarly, the metabolic functions in the diabetes mellitus type 1 and type 2 are susceptible with the vitamin D deficiency. But the rigorous investigations regarding many non-skeletal functions are currently undergoing. This is not accomplished. This job has not been accomplished. It is ongoing process. Research are being done to see the effect in cancers, diabetes, and other immunomodulatory effects of the vitamin D. Then, if we go to the bone as a role of calcitriol, what basically it does, it causes the osteoclastic activity when there is decreased calcium level in conjunction with PTH, parathyroid hormone. But the major functions of the calcitriol is the bone growth. When McCollum he discovered it in the form that it is responsible for the growth of the bone and the muscle strength that will be proliferated by the actions of the calcitriol. So osteoblastic we should not forget. But when there is so this osteoblastic activity basically is being stimulated by the calcitriols with the increased alkaline phosphatase and osteocalcin proteins that helps in the mineralizations of the bone and cause strengthening of the bone. Now, on contrary, if you see how the osteoclastic is being activated, there is a low serum calcium, or the fall in the calcium level will certainly activate PTH, and in conjunction with the calcitriol, there is a binding of the rank ligand and the rank located in the pre-osteoclast cells that induce the differentiation of these cells into the osteoclast. Now the function of the osteoclast is to demineralize the bone. So bone bada calcium nikaleko. So what is the overall effect of the vitamin D? It causes the increase in the serum level of calcium and phosphorus. Now if we see this delicate diagram, then we have a number of protein transporter gene expression. We can see here TRPV6 in the apical regions of the epithelial cells of the duodenum, where the calcium absorption occurs. It is transported inside, and there it binds with the calbindin. Now this protein calbindin and this regulatory protein TRPV6 is being regulated highly by the calcitriol. So when there is high vitamin D, this protein is synthesized more, and more of it is getting absorbed. The calcium is getting absorbed from the basolateral surface with the protein PMCA2B, and it finally comes to the blood. We have done our work, means calcium is there in the blood now with the intake of vitamin D. Similar to that, phosphorus is by the transporter sodium phosphorus 2B that is being transported from the epithelium cells of the ileum and get transported from the basolateral, maintaining the phosphorus level as well. So calcium and phosphorus both is getting absorbed in the intestine. What about the kidney? Same protein, but the isoform is different, that we have 5 TRPV6 theory, only 5 lay apical surface. It will reabsorb the calcium in the kidney, where it expresses calbindin, different isoform 28K I think so that it gets reabsorbed from the basolateral surface of the kidney to produce the calcium in the blood. Similar to that, in the PCT, the phosphorus gets transported by the protein sodium inorganic phosphate 2A and another sodium inorganic phosphate, another isoforms. So this is how we can see the calcium and phosphorus get homeostasis in the presence of the calcitriol in kidney, in intestine, and in the bone. Now, this is the interesting portion maybe. The source of vitamin D, as I have already told, is the sun. The UV light, that is UVB, coming from the sun in the daytime, and short exposure to this UV light can form cholecalciferol from the 7-dehydrocholecalciferol in the skin, stratum corneum epithelium of the skin. Then what are the other dietary sources that we can recommend is the fortification. In US, what I have seen is most of the time they are fortifying with the cereals and with the milk, lots of vitamin D, and this is supplemented to the households. And other sources which already contain the vitamin D are cheese, butter, yolk, and fish and red meat. Then the question comes, what is the recommended dietary allowance that minimum should be given to the children and the pregnant? It is a bit higher as compared to the adult. Adult required just 5 microgram or 200 international unit, but the double the value of that is required for the children and pregnancy, because metabolically they are being active. And what about the older age? If the person is more than 60 years with the impaired intestinal absorption, and the daily life is not getting supported because the daily mobility from the house is not there, so there might be the increased doses of the recommended daily allowance to the old age people with 15 microgram or 600 international unit. Then we should ask the questions, what are the causes of the vitamin D deficiency? If somebody is in inadequate sun exposure, maybe with the pigmented skin, blackish skin, or to the brown, then come to the white skin exposure of the sunlight will go like that, so they might be with the vitamin D deficiency. Similarly, aging and the old age more than 65 years, and sunscreen with the high SPF value, that may lead to the vitamin D deficiency. Winter seasons with a less exposure to the sunlight and residing inside the home may cause the vitamin D deficiency to be very prominent during the winter season. And the northern latitude above 40-degree angle has been very susceptible for the vitamin D deficiency. Then we are very happy because we are towards the 28. We can see in there in the latitude we are 28-degree north, but we are exposed to the winter. We are exposed to so many of the socio-demographic factors like alcoholism, kidney disease, who are going to account for this. So we are also very much susceptible with the breaking of the winter, or with the liver disease, with the renal disease, and so many other aging, geriatric problems, so many are there, so that we are also liable for vitamin D deficiency. Liver and renal disease with the inefficient 25-hydroxylase and 1-alpha-hydroxylase may cause vitamin D deficiency, and chronic absorption impairment in the absorption like chronic alcoholisms, Crohn's disease, celiac, sprue, fat and cholesterol absorption inhibitors might lead to the vitamin D deficiency. Now, who are at high risk? If somebody is having vitamin D, then who are at high risk of developing the conditions with? So these are the increased risks for the hypovitaminosis D, with a poor musculoskeletal health causing osteomalacia in adult, rickets in children, or pain in the muscles, myalgia. Similarly, the risks increased with the multiple sclerosis, the neurodegenerative disease. Similarly, the high incidence of the insulin resistance diabetes type 2 and other autoimmune disease like type 1 has been seen with the hypovitaminosis D. Blood pressures and the cardiac diseases are very prominent when there is hypovitaminosis D. Similarly, immune-related disease, COVID-19, just we have come across this phase, we all know, and moreover, the regimen might have included sometime with the high doses of the vitamin D for the COVID patients. Heart disease and cancer, but still the investigation is going on in this regard. COVID was one of the things which was deteriorating the whole populations with the common pandemic that has been acclaimed with the researchers to give a high doses from 400 international unit of vitamin D to 10,000 international unit. When they were lying on the hospital beds in the hospitals, the doctor has increased the doses and see the drastic decrease in the severity of the lungs problem associated with COVID. This has been approved by the Belgian study and some other study that has been done in the research. So this is the use of vitamin D in our society. Now, worldwide spectrum, if we see, we have got a prominent that vitamin D deficiency related in the global prevalence 6.7% with less than 10 ng per ml. But if we go for the insufficiency level, which we used to say in our Southeast Asian zone as less than 30, if we take the data from WHO and other sources, it is less than 20, then it becomes around 37.3%. Similarly, this drastic change in the setup level has increases the prevalence so fastly. Like in USA, it is going from 5.9 to 24% when the cutoff value has been set up 20. Similarly, in Europe and UK, it is having similar effect, 40.4 and 40.2% of the prevalence for the vitamin D deficiency. China, we are neighborhood, so we can see 63.2% of the vitamin D deficiency in the Chinese population. Middle East, Iraq, Turkey, and we can see there around 90% they are getting vitamin D deficiency. What may be the consequences? We can think of that. Then WHO estimates, we don't have the clear-cut concrete data for our zone, but they have given the rough estimate that 2 billion people in the low and middle income countries are being deficient with vitamin D. That has been shown in the data. Then the question comes, what about the scenario in Nepal? Have we done any research that our population is with less vitamin D prevalent? In our case, yes, the number of the research supported the vitamin D deficiency, which has been done in the Lalitpur district by Lasmi et al. I think so. There she has found 91.7% populations are with vitamin D deficiency with the clinical some symptoms that is arising. Similarly, in the Kathmandu Medical College, they have done one study where they have shown the 70.6% of the populations with the vitamin D deficiency. Similar to the study, other study has shown there is around 90% of the vitamin D deficiency prevalent in the area of the Kathmandu zone, I think itself. So in the KIST Medical College, they have shown 56.35% of the vitamin D deficiency that occur in the patients in their hospitals. Now, last week, I have been to the Texas presenting my work in associations of the vitamin D deficiency in the alcoholic male patients who has visited UCMS in the psychiatric department to cure for the alcohol dependence and alcohol abuse. So what we have found interestingly is that the most of the patients with the median value of the vitamin D levels has been drastically, that has come down. It's below 30 ng per ml, as we have done it with the Maglumi 2000. So we can see here around 71.25% of the patients with the excessive drinker and the abuse of the alcohol has with this by hypovitaminosis D, and the median level comes around 24. Similarly, last year I presented in the Keystones E-Symposiums relating with the kidney problems, where the kidney patients under ESDR, means the end-stage renal damage, where GFR has been drastically decreased less than 15 ml per minute. What we have found, what we have hypothesized is that there is a decrease of the GFR leads to the hyperphosphatemia, has led to the hypovitaminosis D, causes the hypocalcemia, stimulate the PTS, bone get demineralized very faster, with the remodeling of the bone, and that leads to the increased osteoblastic activity as a compensatory mechanism to see the increased alkaline phosphatase. So what we have found is increased alkaline phosphatase, decreased growth hormone, decreased vitamin D, and increase in some level serum and calcium phosphate product in the end stage renal disease with the maintenance hemodialysis patient. That was the surprise. In the maintenance hemodialysis patient also, we have found the deficiency to be around 57% of the vitamin D, and the 23% around vitamin E is insufficiency. So this is the thing that we should consider in our. This is my student who has done the MD thesis in the orthopedics department, who found that there is, with the increased incidence of the decreased BMD level, bone mineral density, and increased osteoporosis, the vitamin D level has been come to be 44.4% deficient conditions, 25% insufficient conditions, and only 12.76% of them were normal with their vitamin D status. So out of overall cross-sectional studies populations, we can see over here. And with the advancement of the age, BMD decreases. When BMD decreases, there is decrease in the vitamin D3 as well, and there is a liable the chances of getting bone fractures, hip bone, and so many other parts of the bone that are getting fractured in these patients, which we have seen. Now, my research lab in the UCMS is still, we are doing research, and we have just accomplished one, and my one of the dynamic team members, Mr. Vinay, is going to publish this paper very soon, a thyroid hormone profile in relation to the vitamin D status. And we have got a very concluding remarks on this. And we are in the process of studying the prevalence of vitamin D deficiency in province 5. We are now trying, we are not becoming centric to the Kathmandu Valley, but we are now trying to collect the data and doing the vitamin D estimations in our area here. This is the ongoing research, I should say. Now, what about the SNAP Maglumi? What is my personal experience is very nice, because with the availability of the immunoassays, and they have done the regression analysis and the correlation analysis, which is found to be very significant here. We can see the R square level to be 0.981 with the other immunoassay method in their in-house SNAP Maglumi X3 model. Now, what about what I have seen in the US is that they are not basically using the CLIA, now they are using the LC-MS, liquid chromatography mass spectroscopy. So they can get the details of the other fractions of the vitamin 125 or 25 or 124, 25, whatever they like, okay? And with their CDC reference guideline, they have compared their value with their LC-MS, got around 99, that is quite good, but ours is not bad, 0.98. Then why not to compare it with the LC-MS? Then if the comparisons of this Maglumi was made with the LC-MS, there was a good correlations that what I could see from the protocols Mr. Anup sir has sent to me is that it is quite good correlations, 0.97. So why not to use the affordable form of the Maglumi X? I think it is also available in X3, probably. So this could be one of the good means to measure the vitamin D in our setup, in our developing setup, in developing scenario. But however, what I feel personally is that whatever the reference value we are taking and we are giving report to the doctor, they might not be in agreement to us without any sign and symptoms. How I can introduce so much of the mega doses of the vitamin D in the 60,000 international unit. One of the physician from my college asked me personally, केही छैन सर, सिम्टम छैन, केही छैन, 10 भन्दा तल लेखिदिनु भएको छ, तपाईले 30 भन्दा तल लेखिदिनु भएको छ, यो त मलाई त विश्वास लागिरहेको छैन, के भएको यो? So we should read what I should as a laboratory scientist, that I should think of this value, whether this is misinterpreting us for the high prevalence of the vitamin D or not, that I should really ask this question. So that's why my next project is really, it is focusing on the reference range for the vitamin D in our community, not America and not UK. We don't bother about that. So what is the actual thing that we are measuring in our, that we should consider the geographical regions where we are doing. If I'm doing this in the Palpa, I should regard for that. If I am doing in the Bhairava, I should make a regard for that. This is very important part. Seasonal changes in the different area, dietary habit of the patient, what is the ethnic origins of that particular local persons. So every lab should have their one reference value that has to be provocated and recommended for the actual disease symptom and the laboratory value for the vitamin D. So this is my concluding remarks. The things that I can make the summary from my presentation is that the low vitamin D remains a key public problem. We should have a number of tests that should be increased for vitamin D. I would like to advocate this. Very less vitamin D test has been being done nowadays. Then significant populations group exhibit a vitamin D deficiency as defined by the 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol. If you ask me why not 125 dihydroxy cholecalciferol have less half-life, and what the beauty of the 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol is that it is the actual circulating level that give you the definite value of the blood level for the vitamin D, and it is stored in the liver and it is getting out into the blood that is actively running over there. So we have to redefine the level 10 ng per ml and level 20 ng per ml, or our set of level 30 ng per ml, which we used to say as an insufficiency level. So large population study is required. I seek help from the SNIPE or BSR. If you can provide something, that will be more than enough for us, and we will be happy for these great motives that we will do this research very soon. Nutritional strategies to improve the vitamin D adulterations in the food is very important. Biscuit ma haldido रहेछ, juice ma पनि अमेरिकामा त के हो त्यो चाहिँ नि I haven't seen such type of practice here. Only the thing that is adulterated here is in the salt. It is iodized salt and iron. I think iron is there in many fortifications of the food, but not merely this vitamin D has been culminated in the food and the food product. So, and we need a properly powered studies on the system-wide effect of the vitamin D in the bone and non-bone disease. Now I would like to emphasize both bone as well as non-bone disease. Kidney problem, liver problem, cancer, we are going to see this. Alzheimer's, depression, so many cases are there in the psychiatric ward. So why not to have a vitamin D estimations in these patients and to relate with the conditions that is associated in these disease processes. So those two things I should not miss. My parent institute, Universal College of Medical Science, where I got platform to perform my research, my laboratory, where I used to do this type of the work, and vitamin D and hormone research team of my department. We can see the fellow young research team over there, and central laboratory service coordinator is also sitting over here. So we have a very nice company with each other to accomplish the work related with the hormones and the vitamin D, and I am proudly saying that we are using the same machine, Maglumi X series. So I would like to lastly thank the SNIPE BSR Biotech Private Limited for giving me the opportunity to share my knowledge in the regard to vitamin D, its effect on the bone and non-bone diseases in our part of the world. Lastly, I would like to quote that go outside and get some sunshine. It is naturally being produced and no need of expending much of the money for this. You will get the great supply of the vitamin D that you can synthesize and can get rid of the hypovitaminaceous D in the body. So with this notion, I would like to conclude my presentation. If you have any questions, I will be happy to take that one. Question session पछि हजुर प्लिज
My question is, you have talked about hypovitaminosis, right?
Yeah, hypovitaminosis.
So when I travel across the globe, like what I have seen is, like we in this part of world we focus more on hypovitaminosis D, right?
Certainly,
But
yeah.
what about vitamin D toxicity?
That's a very nice questions, you know. That's why I always focus on the redefining of the reference value. यो redefine नगरेको कारणले गर्दा जस्तै 30 भन्दा तल आउँछ हैन 30 भन्दा तल आउने बित्तिकै ल डाक्टरले त 60,000 पनि दिन पछाडी पर्नुहुन्न इन अ विक one dose is 60,000 international for 4 weeks, for I think more than 4 weeks they are giving. And what is the consequences that we have built is there is a toxicity to the vitamin D. So if we want to solve the problem that just you have arise, then we should redirect the populational study for the actual insufficient level in our setup, so that we can say he or she is actually insufficient or actually deficient. Then we can advocate for the rational doses of the vitamin D that has to be given to the patients. Otherwise, सरले भन्नुभएको जस्तै हैन अब एक्स्ट्रा डोज दिएर हाइपरभिटामिनोसिस त भइ नै रहेछ यहाँ त यो त एकदम देखिरहेछौँ हामीले यो केस एउटा छँदैछ र अर्को हामी अब वी आर फ्रम द पार्ट अफ वर्ल्ड नट अ एफ्लुएन्ट कन्ट्री वेयर द माइक्रोन्युट्रिएन्ट इज डेफिसियन्ट वी क्यानट नेग्लेक्ट द्याट पोर्सन अल्सो. We have to see that case where the real vitaminosis D is there and we have to supplement. त्यही भएर अलिकति यसमा चाहिँ नि कन्ट्रोभर्सी छ त्यहाँ पनि अब धेरै यो टक्सिसिटीको कुरा गर्दैनन् तर इट्स भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट पार्ट वाट आई वुड लाइक टु मेक अ पोइन्ट अन द्याट. थ्याङ्क यू सर फर यर क्वेसन. हामी सायद डिनरको टाइममा पनि इन्टरेक्सन गर्न सक्छौँ होला. ओके थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच.